For the longest time, I've felt like I've been floating somewhere up in space, completely untethered from this life and this body. I knew of the Earth and my name and the person that I woke up to every single morning, but it felt like a very strange and foreign thing. There have been moments where I have experienced true presentness and been in touch with my senses and experiencing the world through them. Psychologists would call this concept dissociation or depersonalization or derealization. Something that we all do from time to time, that trance that you sort of get into when you're doing something that you have done repetitively, so your brain doesn't need to process any new information. It says, okay, we can go on autopilot right now. It is also a response to trauma, where our minds decide that something is too difficult for us to deal with, so it decides to go on autopilot and dull out our senses. As I've spoken to different people about this, I've noticed that we all have varying degrees of body consciousness or levels at which we are naturally inside our body. Some people are very aware of the realness of their reality and very in touch with their senses and experiencing the world through their body. And some people really need to focus in order to achieve that state. So, how body conscious are you? How much do you feel like your body is real and the reality around you is real? How much do your senses impact you? Our bodies are the vessels that connect us to the physical present moment. Grounding can be two things. In one way, it is being aware of yourself and your surroundings that are being perceived through your senses. Secondly, it's acknowledging and really feeling that you are, in fact, a real person and this life that is happening around you is real and it matters. So people who are very well grounded will naturally gravitate towards taking care of their health and their physical bodies and their finances and their possessions and their career goals. I've found that as I've gone through this journey of beginning to ground myself more and becoming more attuned with my reality and just being a more grounded person, that I have wanted to collect possessions more. Most particularly possessions that really feel like me and that are good representations of me, that I could look at and get sort of clues and hints at about the kind of person that I am and the memories that I choose to collect and things that I feel are of sentimental value to me. Because we are always changing as human beings, and this can be kind of difficult to keep up with in terms of finding an identity that you want to ground yourself in without getting lost in ego. So for me, the things that I like to keep, the possessions that I like to have, are my journals, because I get to read back on my handwriting and it gives me like this physical item that is a representation of my mind and my soul and the person that I am slash was. And also like plants and rocks that I pick up, so that sort of tells me and reminds me, oh yes, I'm a person who likes nature. I keep my guitar because I am reminded that, oh yes, I am a person who enjoys playing music. So now is a good time to ask yourself, do the things around you really feel like you? Do you feel like they are good representations of yourself? There is an intimate connection between the things that we possess and our sense of self. How can your outside world reflect your inside world more? I read once that Native Americans would treat all of their items, all of their possessions, as if they had a spirit or a soul of their own. That concept really resonated with me. I think that that's something that we have definitely lost, that intimate connection between ourselves and our possessions. And even in the word to possess, it kind of implies that you are bringing it in as part of yourself. Like you possess your body, like your soul, your spirit possesses your body, and as a extension of yourself, you possess the things that are around you. This is something that I found can help us ground into our realities. Our physical possessions may not be all that there is to life. I certainly do not believe that is the case, and I know that a lot of people can get trapped in this concept. But for me, what I found is that they can help us tell our stories, especially the stories that we tell to ourselves. Another way that you could be keeping yourself ungrounded is by keeping yourself outside of the present moment. Honestly, spending so much time thinking about the process of something, planning for things, writing about things, scripting for the future, that you completely forget that the action in the present moment is what matters. And that first step can be so daunting. Just taking action can feel so daunting when you've built it up to be all of these hundreds of steps in your mind, when in reality you just need to take a first tiny step. And like for you right now, like say if you're stuck in bed and you're scrolling, that first step could be putting your phone down. You don't have to say, okay, I'm gonna stop scrolling and I'm gonna get my life together and I'm gonna start exercising. It's too much. It's too much that we build things up to be in our mind. For me, this was a lot of thinking about the future and like planning exactly how something is gonna go. It's not necessary, and we can keep ourselves in such a stuck place. There's so many things that I have wanted to do in this life that I still want to do. And when I think about all the things I want to do and the time that I have and how time is limited and every day I get older, it just keeps me feeling even more stuck, and it makes it feel even more daunting to begin to take action. Tiny steps in the moment. That's all you have to do. Just look at what is immediately in front of you. Again, looking at your surroundings and looking at the environment that you are currently in and saying, okay, what can I do with this right now? Just one step. I know it sounds so corny, but yes, one step at a time. One step at a time. We don't know how everything in our life is going to turn out. And when we sit here and daydream about it or plan about it, we have control over all of the details. There's no room for things to go wrong. And we rob ourselves of the enjoyment of the process of letting things happen, of the messy artistry that our lives can be. It's almost like you've already lived that life in your head, in your mind, the life that you have made up for yourself, or that plan or that project that you wanted to execute on. You've already created it inside your head and you've lived it. And so for you to recreate that same thing exactly as you have seen it inside your mind would be kind of boring. And I think that the universe likes to surprise us and likes to keep us on our toes a little bit. And especially when people are manifesting or people are trying to create their dream life, this concept can be really frustrating and it can feel like you are fighting against the flow. So here are some exercises that you can do if you want to feel more grounded, or you just really resonate with this concept of floating up in space. So firstly, what I want you to do is look around you. Look around you. There is probably a phone in your hand or a computer in front of you. Where are you sitting? And we get used to the objects in our immediate environment. I want you to look at everything and name it in your head. I've noticed that doing this, especially when I'm out on walks, really helps me recognize that, oh, right, I'm here. Like looking at the sky and saying, okay, that's the sky. It's blue. It's clear. There are clouds in it. That's a tree. It is moving. And so we name the object and then say something about it. That can really help you bring awareness into your immediate surroundings. The next thing that we can do is clench our body. So like start at your toes, clench your toes and relax them, and gradually move up your body, going to your feet, your knees, your calves, your legs, your tummy, all the way up your body, and gradually, progressively clench the body part as tight as you can and then relax it. Also, honoring the person and the place that you are in right now. So asking yourself about yourself, where are your thoughts going lately? Who is the person that is occupying your body and the space and time right now? This person will change as time goes on because you will change and your life will change. Especially if you can write this down in a journal, it helps us capture this moment and capture this person that you are right now. Shakespeare once said, "We are all actors in play." I think that some people become way more immersed in their role than others do. Some are method actors, some are improv actors, you get the point. I would often stare at people who became completely encapsulated in the roles that they were playing that they completely forgot that they were acting. Now what I've realized is these people that I've questioned also have something to teach me. Imagine that you put on a virtual reality headset that was made to make you forget that you were playing a game, and you spent the whole time thinking about how silly it is to lose yourself entirely in the idea of its realness. Imagine you paid to watch a movie, and throughout the entire movie, you kept thinking and complaining loudly about how fake it was, how bad the acting and director were. You'd miss the enjoyment of the experience of completely losing yourself in it. You'd miss the entire point of seating yourself in front of a movie. You wouldn't feel the full anguish, relief, victory, and amazement of the characters. And maybe that's what you're afraid of. Maybe we're afraid that if we forget for a second that we're playing a game, that we'll lose ourselves completely in the experience of it. To experience life in total surrender to the fact that we are in fact here now. Because life is scary. And it's even scarier to admit and acknowledge that we don't have control. Being open and vulnerable to the highs and lows of everything is scary. So I hope that that helped, especially if you've been living your life in this sort of freeze state response, especially if it was to trauma. Maybe even just recognizing that this is how you've been living, that you haven't really been present or aware. I think it's way more of us than the amount of people who are aware that this is something that they are doing. Become aware of this concept so that you can slowly begin bringing yourself back down into your reality and doing things within your own time. I have not come back down to earth completely. I don't think it's really the right time for me to do so yet, but I am slowly starting to come back down into my body and to really understand the realness of the world around me. And for me right now, what that is most prominently is acting on things in front of me instead of thinking about acting on the things in front of me the whole time. If you like this type of content or would like to see more content from me, then I'd love for you to comment or subscribe to my channel. I really love seeing my channel grow, and I would love to create a community and open up discussions about this sort of stuff. Yeah, thank you so much for being here. I will see you soon. Bye.